Looking to break into Minnesota's legal cannabis industry? The next licensing round opens February 18th, and you don't have to navigate it alone. Jen Rice and her team can guide you through every step of the process at North Star Cannabis Consulting. Start with their free industry newsletter. Then let them help with license applications and business strategy to empower your success in this growing market. Don't miss your opportunity. Get professional guidance from a team that knows Minnesota's cannabis landscape inside and out. Contact North Star Cannabis Consulting today. Visit northstarcannabisconsulting.com to learn more. Keeping track of your grow doesn't have to be a hassle. Meet Plant Track. That's PLNTRK, a tool built by Minnesota growers for growers like you. Track every stage of your plant with intuitive progress bars for each phase. Stay on top of your grow with text reminders for watering, feeding, and photos. And when it's time to log data, it couldn't be easier. Just scan a QR code or tap an NFC tag to instantly access your plant's details and updates. You can even log your interactions for one or all your plants in just seconds. Ask detailed questions with the AI chat powered by your plant's data and get the help that you need when you need it. It's free for up to 8 plants. Go to www.plntrk.com now and start tracking your grow. Turn it up, turn it up.
Good. Check in.
All right. Both live?
Live. As good as I'm going to be today.
But you can hear
No,
yourself.
I'm great. I mean, I'm great from that aspect. I'm actually doing excellent. So everything's good.
To confirm, you can hear yourself.
Fuck you.
Say over.
Over this bit. Play the song. Play the song.
And we're back.
April Fools. Just two guys being fools.
I'm your host, Tanner, joined today by Jordan and Steve. Howdy, guys.
What's up, guys?
Happy to be back here.
Great to see you, as always.
Another week, last week in March for us, but first week in April for you guys.
March was a great month. Had a lot of great guests on the show.
There's still time.
Well, this is our last one.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah.
We just had Lauren Bertrand in the studio.
Yeah, it's always good to see her.
Definitely.
That's a fun one.
Drink wink.
Dude, it was fun hearing just her insider perspective of like, because we've heard stories time and time again of kind of similarly timed brands kind of coming online around the same time, same culture, same kind of feel of
A lot of breweries, though, for Minnesota.
Yeah, and so it was interesting to hear her perspective from like a national brand with a very local intent.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
The same folks that make Waterloo beverage, the seltzers, they make Wink. So they're processed in like the same facility. Cool. So it's like Wink is a very mainstream, like taste, delicious kind of a good beverage.
I think they were the first like not Minnesota company that we had on the show, sort of featuring that national industry coming into Minnesota, helping to sort of shape it and turn it into what it is today.
And when we had them on the show, they were in dispensaries, like selling their hemp-derived beverages in dispensaries. They've pulled out of dispensaries. That's how much of a Minnesota
that's so interesting.
Impact.
It was like the days before Countdown was going to come to Minnesota, and now I see it at the liquor store all the time.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, that's a funny one. Wow. Well, guys, it was a busy week. We've got a ton of news that we're going to be talking about. But first off, I mean, did you guys have a good week?
Yeah, all things considered, I got to get back to basics with some creative stuff at work, so I had to just take some pretty pictures and then edit some pretty pictures, all for the sake of just making pretty pictures. So it was like good to get back to the fundamentals of the craft. So,
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. And I was able to just like spend time on it, not just like rush out these things for social media or like quick get this up on print some brochure, blah, blah. It was like, we need a whole database of this type of photography. And I was like, all right, I can start on that.
Yeah, I think content management is a challenging but useful process to follow as more and more companies identify as media needing to pull content for specific like April Fools or St. Patrick's Day or, things like that. I spent some time yesterday with Spencer Plussel, went over to Embrace North, and was leaving Embrace North on my way to a cafe. I got rear-ended.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Like, it sounded way worse than the actual damage to the car. But I went back to Embrace North today because my shoulder hurts.
Yeah.
There you go.
Was it like, was it like a fender bender, or was it like a little bigger than a?
I mean, I was in a Ford Bronco, which has like a 9.5. It's like a Hetty's head stash kind of a dab.
Okay, for sure.
It's good safety rating, good Bronco. So it hurt, and I really heard it, but the damage wasn't so bad at all. And I've already worked through Progressive Insurance and gotten all that stuff taken care of. And so like, it's gonna come out just fine. But like, it was a sharp reminder to, had I been paying more attention and been able to defensively drive, I think I could have avoided the car accident.
Yeah.
And it's just like, the roads can be really scary, and we see it, we hear it, it often doesn't even get talked about, but like, accidents happen. So it was sad. The guy was really shook up and apologetic, but yeah, first time I'd gotten in a car accident in this decade, and maybe even the one before. Like, it's been a while.
Wow. Well, glad you're okay, man.
Yeah.
No, never fun. And it's crazy because I just rear-ended someone yesterday and then quick drove away. I thought it was you, but I was like, no. I'm just kidding. No. Glad you're okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Other than that, ready for another week of Northern Lights.
Let's do it. Well, so guys, it was a busy news week that we're going to be jumping into today. We're going to be talking about some new, maybe final, still technically draft rules that came out. We're going to be talking about the application numbers, really looking at the raw data of who applied for licenses and what that could mean for that lottery in just a couple of months here. And then finally, did you guys know people are trying to decriminalize mushrooms?
Yes. Yeah. Shout out to Blunt Strategies for doing a lot of the work behind the scenes there.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about what that bill looks like, what that process might look like coming forward, and if you're interested in getting involved, sort of how you can do that. But first, should we talk about the rules?
Tell me about the rules, Tanner.
All right, so I was at work the other day. I was minding my own business and then got a news broadcast from OCM saying, hey, just wanted to let you know, rule dropped. And I like felt this pit in my stomach, and I like quick pulled up my phone and like opened the rules. I typed in 70% just to see where we're at. And let's get into it.
You crossed out.
Yeah, there were a couple changes. There were a couple changes, some really positive, some less so. But I think that's the biggest change that people were looking for, is that 70%. It's now been raised to 80%.
This came out literally a week ago from when folks are hearing it.
Yeah.
And, the best part is, and I'll let you leak the kind of the thing that Gabe Hanson's from Loon Labs kind of showed on social media. But like Tuesday, they announced it. And if it gets approved, it'll start happening like soon. They have 2 weeks to approve it.
Yep.
But it doesn't address the entire cannabis industry. It only addresses adult use recreational cannabis.
For sure. Yeah. So people in that medical side of the industry still able to buy those high potency products. And if we're looking at strictly the THC potency, many concentrates fall below that 80% line.
Okay.
So the odds of this being something where it's like, man, shit, now my oil that I process is totally not fit for commerce, much lower of a possibility.
Amazing. I mean, that means they looked at the market.
Yeah.
So, we do dabs allegedly on this show sometimes. How often are they over 80% or under 80%? Yeah,
I would say oftentimes they fall within that like 75 to 80% range.
Okay.
I've definitely purchased some before that are closer to like 82, 83. We're not dabbing THC isolates in here, as cool as that would be. That's not really what consumers are generally purchasing.
Is that cool?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, so I have dabbed THC isolate before.
We're not saying you haven't.
No. It's like a white powder. It looks like a hard drug, but it is just THC in powdered form, and it hits. That's for sure.
It hits like a compound.
Yeah, that's for sure. But unfortunately, if you want to purchase that, just through the medical program, not going to be finding those in your average dispensary.
The lotions and topicals one stood out to me because like right now, no one is producing 1,000 milligram THC lotion or topical.
No.
Curious to know what that does with CBG, and if we're multiplying 250 milligrams of CBG with 1,000 milligrams of THC, like how quickly is my back and shoulder going to feel back to normal? Like I kind of into it. I'm into it a little bit.
I think if it's below 0.3% THC, you could just rub straight CBG goop onto your shoulder. Because, as you mentioned, they have those caps for that THC product. But in terms of those minor cannabinoids, there's not one written into rules.
For adult use cannabis.
For topicals.
Just in the topical space.
Yeah. So you'd be able to buy a lotion that was really, really rich in minor cannabinoids, as long as that THC percentage is still below 0.3.
I'll have to check with Jeff Brinkman to see if he's still the lotion king.
Definitely reach out.
Yeah.
This was one that I thought was interesting that I actually didn't take a huge note of during the first round, but as we were scrolling through and seeing everything that was crossed out, there was a provision in there that allowed for bartenders to create THC beverages that have a minor amount of ingredients, like 2 or 3 in them. They can mix them at the bar and serve them on site, as long as there's a calibrated pump that's on whatever is dispensing the THC. The rule makers looked at that and basically said, we'd prefer that they just open a can, pour it into a cup, and do it that way.
Okay.
Or use a keg, where it's a pre-mixed, tested product. They didn't like the idea of using a tested input in a maybe untested amount to make a mixed beverage.
Yeah.
They want that final product to be tested. So
this is kind of consistent with how I've seen events go, where it's easier just to pour it out than to make a mixer of it. And how many establishments would hire a trained server versus just a bartender?
Yeah, I can think of literally one company in Minnesota that this impacts right now. Let's see. Yeah, we still got it on the shelf. It's tucked behind there right now. But that bottle right there probably wouldn't be compliant anymore. Maybe could be considered a keg. But I think with them very clearly indicating they don't want THC to be served out in an amount, probably wouldn't be as thrilled with something like that. Yeah, and for those in the audio version, it's
the Nothing But Hemps or the retro bakeries that are producing these bar type products.
Yeah, 750 milliliter bottles that aren't available to consumers but are business to business. They haven't really, I think, found a huge traction in Minnesota.
No, maybe in the right environment, but I haven't seen it here.
As a consumer, maybe, but
pour it up.
Yeah. But
what about this? Terp profiles will not be required on the packaging.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a good move for flower?
Ultimately, I do. I, as a consumer, really like to know what's in the product. I think it's good to know. I also think it's good for consumers to be educated on, like, it's not the strain, it's the terpenes, as we heard talked about in the past.
Say that again, Steve. This is, you still can if you want, right?
Yeah, it's just not required. Yeah, and the reason that I think that it's a good idea that it's no longer required specifically is because if you look at meta testing of labs, looking at our labs testing the same terpene content in samples, there's a ton of variety. Even within the same plant, the top, the bottom, the middle parts might have different terpene profiles specifically. So it feels disingenuous to test one part of a plant and then to use that same numbers for everything. Now, of course, people do. I just think it shouldn't be required when it's really not like best practices. It should be to help inform the consumer, to give them ideas, but not to say specifically, this has 3.2% limonene or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. No, more authentic. And what I mean by that is if there are growers that will be very terp-centric, they'll probably lead with that on their packaging, and that will help them distinguish themselves. And that's great. So great question. And I also just like the differentiation that it will naturally create versus the necessary need to have it on the packaging.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my head was going. Steve was like, okay, the ones who really care about it and who really put the time and effort into knowing what's in there are going to probably want people to know.
Yeah.
And then those that it's less so, like that natural kind of cream rising to whatever top there is.
When are they going to announce the seed to sale monitoring system, and why is it still just being referred to? It's probably better for the seed to sale monitoring system to not be identified yet from a consumer, like a Comcast versus Xfinity type situation going on, if you read me. But like, no sales may occur when the system is down. That's kind of where the rules are going next.
Yeah. So this is one that actually I was really disappointed to see. If you look at other states, they oftentimes have a mechanism for metric or whatever system goes down you keep paper records of your transactions for a day, and they get uploaded into a system. It allows for the state to, have their website to crash, which happens maybe allegedly around cannabis.
Acela.
Yeah, and allows for the off-network tracking that then later gets uploaded.
Mm-hmm.
OCM initially allowed for people to do that for up to 3 days. So if metric is down for a week, you could sell for 3 days, keeping paper records of everything. And then whenever it comes back online, you have to upload that back in. They removed that, where now if their website crashes, so too does literally the entire stream of commerce in the state of Minnesota around cannabis. And if you look at other states, this happens quite regularly. We, of course, hope that it doesn't, but there are many times, especially in the early days of Oregon, when they were still sort of figuring things out, where things would go down pretty constantly. And we're not the first state, but man, we sure haven't had our ducks in a row. And I think we'll probably fall victim to times where you go to a dispensary and they go, yeah, we've got stock, we've got employees, we've got a POS, we've got everything. Unfortunately, the state just, they're not taking new entries right now.
What kind of generators can the state have, like backups, to assure that this doesn't happen on a quarterly basis?
I think if the entire cannabis industry maybe just like chipped in $50, $100 every business, we could pay for there to be like 24 hours, like gerbils running in the OCM, constantly powering this website. And we would pay to give new carrots to them every so often just to keep this machine going. Because it's going to crash. Mm-hmm. It just inevitably will happen. And it's a really big bummer that now the only thing that businesses can keep doing is cultivating.
Oh, okay.
They can keep paper records of their plants because those die. You can't just leave that on a shelf.
No.
But everything else stops. And I think this will be a really big problem. I think this is one of those things that maybe is, that was on page 38. Like, it's not like people are flipping through looking at every single rule, but that is one that I think will be a big flag for our industry, especially during the early days. We'll see.
And what about this last one here?
Yeah, so the plant canopy. People have been trying to figure out how much of that canopy can be dedicated to medical companies versus adult use, what is required to be ratio-wise. And the rules were shifted where OCM has to calculate the portion of plant canopy that is used to cultivate adult use as 1/2 instead of just 1/3. So it's putting more effort towards that medical side. Which
okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. I know this will segue well, but do you anticipate more medical companies coming online?
Oh, that's a really great question.
We'll be right back.
Attention all Minnesota cannabis lovers. Put down your joint, bong, vaporizer, or whatever else you're currently holding while you're listening to your favorite podcast and mark your calendar for the 2nd annual Doobie Dabbler Cannabis Festival, happening September 5th and 6th at Seavers Fall Festival Grounds in Shakopee. This 2-day festival is a cannabis lover's dream, featuring over 100 acres of vendors, artisans, industry pro seminars, live music, food trucks, and the wackiest and wildest activities your stoned imagination can come up with. Doobie Dabbler is the can't-miss cannabis party of the year. Come join thousands of your newest buddies in celebration of the ever-growing Minnesota cannabis culture at Seavers Fall Festival Grounds in Shakopee, September 5th and 6th for the 2025 Doobie Dabbler. Tickets and more available at doobiedabbler.com. Doobie Dabbler, Minnesota's great green get-together. Must be 21 years of age or older to attend. Powered by the teams behind Beer Dabbler, Ferris Joy, and Hunt Atkins.
Did you know that 70% of businesses fail in the first 10 years? And the number one reason they fail is because they run out of cash. Hi, I'm Dave Woodbeck. I'm the managing partner of Dope CFO. At Dope CFO, we help cannabis business owners beat the odds by providing financial leadership. Yes, we handle bookkeeping, accounting, and taxes, just like any accountant. But as one CEO recently told me, the last thing I need is another accountant. I need a partner who can help me achieve financial success. So take the first step towards financial success. Scan the QR code now to start your free self-assessment.
Attention Northern Lights listeners. Whether you're growing cannabis indoors or outdoors, organically or hydroponically, Eco Garden Supply has the tools to help you succeed. From premium organic nutrients to advanced hydro systems, they've got everything you need to cultivate like a pro at home. Head to ecogardensupply.com now or visit them in person at 800 Transfer Road, Suite 3, St. Paul, Minnesota 55114 and elevate your cannabis. Eco Garden Supply, growing supplies for the serious grower. And we're back. All right, so right before you had asked me, do I think there will be more medical companies? And I'm glad we took a break because I sort of had to think about it for a minute. And I think we will have more people that do medical cannabis in Minnesota. I think there will be other micro businesses, mezzo, that come in and do medical. I think we'll also have multi-state operators that maybe look at that combination license. Like we had 6 total applicants for that medical combination license. I know
that's very few.
Vireo. I know Rise, GTI.
Green Thumb.
What are the other 4?
That's
someone who is able to afford a huge application fee, and is going to come in and be able to cultivate huge amounts of cannabis and to be able to have stores all across the state. And so we can look at this and say there are at least 4 multi-state operators that will be moving into Minnesota because, well, or we should say there are 5. Mm-hmm. So there are 5 in total. So there are 3 looking at this. I did some bad math there.
No, you're good. You're good because you're talking about like $100,000 of application fee potentially, and then the other question that I had was how many is it capped at 25 stores? I mean, how many stores could?
So I believe this is bringing me back a little bit. I believe they can have 1 for every congressional district. So they allows 8 throughout the state.
Yeah. In true medical form.
Yeah, exactly. So if we have 8 throughout the state, we have 6 medical combination businesses. You know, that in of itself is 8 plus 8 is 16, 32.
You're doing the math.
I'm trying to do the math. Jordan, can you multiply for me?
It sounds like 40.
Absolutely not.
It sounds like 48.
Yeah, there we go.
My phone can.
All right, so 6 times 8.
6 and times is the X.
Yeah, I think so. This is just killing Steve. I love this. I'm sorry, man.
48.
48. Oh, dude, you were right.
Like
nice.
how many states?
Crazy.
The continental United States.
Yeah, so that's how many combination medical adult use we have guaranteed.
Okay.
We're also probably going to have mezzo, micro, and other retailers that seek that medical endorsement.
Oh.
But how much medical flower we have out there, I think it will probably be mostly those 6 companies that are doing it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, so it's the medical one is the kind of the sticky one in the road right now. It's like, how do we advance the medical program?
Yeah.
The argument is we can't lose the medical program as it is because there are patients.
Yeah.
And then there are opportunities on how the fallout would, there's situations that would observe how the fallout would happen. And that's where there's disagreements. I think above ground, we can't let the medical market fail.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming will all 6 move on, or is there a lottery for? No.
So as long as they're qualified applicants, they've got their license.
Okay. So that's where we're confident. But talk to me a little bit about canopy size with some of these larger operations.
Yeah, so they'll have the largest canopy allowed of any of these license types. Some of it does have to be specifically reserved for that medical side. That's sort of what we were talking about in the rulemaking earlier. But we are still going to see huge canopies put up. And I stressed this before. I want to stress it again because I think it's such an important thing to keep in mind. Canopy only applies to flowering plants. So people have been saying like, 10,000 square foot canopy, we're going to have 10,000 square foot grows. We're going to have 10,000 square foot flowering rooms in the grows.
Oh my gosh.
They can be larger than that. They can allow for tissue culture. They can allow for vegging. They can allow for clones. They can allow for so much else that does not fall under that canopy total. So I think these medical combination companies could have 100,000 square foot facilities as long as not all of it is flowering without a problem. And they have the capital where maybe we could have a huge state operator that's been looking at us for a long time.
Yeah.
Not able to access because we only had 2 licenses. Now is saying, now's the time to move in.
Right.
Which Who knows?
Coming soon.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some large operators in Illinois that I think specifically we could see start moving into Minnesota, but who knows?
And Missouri too.
Oh yeah. The Missouri ones are going to be really interesting. Where like I think, especially from the less regulated states, Oklahoma is another one where you're going to have people who have operated either in a medical side or operated in an adult use side who have made money in their state, looking at a relatively low setup cost.
Mm-hmm.
Could be an opportunity to move into Minnesota.
There's going to be a lot of weed in Minnesota.
Hopefully, that's the goal, right? And that's and I think we should prepare for people not at first. You know, we're going to have stores open in the next couple of weeks here, and it's going to be expensive and in low supply. But hopefully soon. I've been hearing some grumblings of maybe social equity applicants that have been getting emails from OCM letting them know you can sort of move forward with the process. And,
okay.
It's end of March, early April.
Yeah.
Maybe May, June isn't unheard of.
Shout out to Social Equity Director Jess Jackson.
Yeah, there we go.
Listener of the show, friend of the show. She's doing her thing, trying to help social equity applicants move ahead.
Yeah. So let's just run through the numbers because I think these are super interesting. So combining pre-approval and general licensure, we've got 1,849 micro businesses, 48 wholesalers, 72 transporters, 12 testing facilities, 236 delivery services, and 6 combination businesses. Assuming those all are valid applications, which we saw round 1, probably won't be. That is a ton of businesses operating throughout Minnesota. And that's not to count the 273 that applied for Mezzo out of the 100 possible, the 96 that applied for cultivator out of the 50 possible, the 83 that applied for manufacturer out of the 24 possible, and then the 854 that applied for the retailer out of the 150 possible. So good luck to those who applied for that retailer license. If you will need it.
Okay. And so if you fail on the top here from micro down to medical combo and your application doesn't make its way through, you're done. You're done for now.
So what's really nice about this specific process is there is an appeal and a correction process.
Okay.
So unlike pre-approval, where you got that letter that said you were denied, we're moving forward, they'll be able to keep moving forward with that. Now, I agree with you. The lottery, if you didn't get into that first round of the lottery, that is sort of it for round 1.
And these are the big ones. These are the visual ones you'll see. The retailers, the manufacturers, the cultivators, and the mezzos that are integrated within there.
Exactly. The highest caps of being able to do outside of that combination license.
Right, which is an exception. I mean, you're going to see that one coming from a mile away.
Totally. So, yeah, we could... I think this number is crazy. 3,529 businesses applied for licenses.
Yes.
In Minnesota's cannabis program.
And half of them are micro businesses. And the beauty about micro businesses is micro businesses can all look different.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love is going back to the early days of House File 100, even before then, 57, whatever. Micro business was the goal. We wanted to try to funnel as many people into that as possible. And it looks like, at least based upon these numbers, it might have worked. Let's see if it holds up when the invisible hand of the market is deciding who's around, not just the invisible hand of OCM.
Yeah, what unique thing can you bring to the market as a micro business? Because now that we have the application number, being a micro business is not unique enough to be a micro business.
Yeah, congrats. You got a license along with 1,848 other people potentially.
Yeah, that's bigger than some towns.
Yeah.
You know.
Larger than my graduating class of high school.
Right. So
imagine we all went and got a dispensary.
Everyone in your graduating class and my graduating class got a micro business license.
Yep.
Doesn't mean you're going to do well in life.
No. Well, so I'm just so curious to see where that goes. I'm sure this is a story, as I've talked about every single time we've talked about it so far, that we'll keep coming back to, because truly some of these businesses could be not just numbers, but open stores in just a couple of weeks.
Would the OCM contribute to 420 weekend by hosting the lottery on 4/18?
I suppose they could. Yeah, I mean,
now they're working through reviewing the app. No, so do the apps get reviewed before the lottery?
So before the lottery, yes. So I think for the uncapped people, they're going to be hearing very soon here.
Yeah.
The lottery, they previously said May, June. I think April would be a stretch, but possible.
No, that might be bad for business.
Yeah, I think probably not great. But I do think by April 20th, and I hesitate to say this.
Today is April 1st.
We might have licensed businesses by April 20th. Maybe not open stores, maybe not products on shelves, but there might be someone holding that golden ticket in Minnesota by 420. I don't know. I would not have said that 2 weeks ago, but
this is why you watch the Northern Lights podcast with Tanner Barris.
You got to watch it every week. You can't
do.
just watch it once and go, now I know the news.
Please.
It changes. I don't know if you guys know that.
It's a season-long endeavor.
It is. It's true.
Stay up to date.
You got to ride along with us. So we got one more story that I want to throw on here before we head out, and that is one that we talked about a little bit a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
And one that our buddy Marcus
Harkus,
near and dear to his heart. It appears people in the state of Minnesota, lawmakers, elected officials, are moving towards decriminalizing the possession and cultivation of psilocybin mushrooms in Minnesota.
Not just in Minneapolis.
No, not just Minneapolis. No, we could have people growing without fear of reprise, without fear of any punishment.
Yes.
A personal amount, yet to be defined, of mushrooms in their own home. You could drive around with it. You could give it to people. You could not sell it, but we could sort of have this system of mushroom cultivation swapping, sort of like we have in this in-between time where we don't have licensed businesses, but man, everyone seems to find weed. It's crazy.
The Minnesota mushroom movement.
Yeah. I think it's a neat idea. This would make us state number 3, I believe. State number 3 that would have some sort of decriminalized
Oh my gosh.
program. Minnesota has not necessarily been on the cutting edge of decriminalizing drugs or drug reform or anything like that. But
drug testing.
yeah, this could be.
They were pretty, cutting edge. Cutting something.
Cutting something.
But, I'm amped on this because this is the bill that Minnesota needs to move the drug reform better forward.
Absolutely. It's something we've been pushing forward for a long time. I think it's a good measure forward. And so there was a second bill, and I actually haven't had a chance to dig into this one a ton. It just came out yesterday when we are recording. And it would allow a psilocybin therapeutic use program. In essence, it would create a medical setting where people could go seek out psilocybin mushrooms and under the consultation of an expert, consume mushrooms for medical purposes. We wouldn't be the first state to do this, but that would be a big step forward for Minnesota.
Therapy. I mean, progressive, plant-based.
Yeah.
Really, we would be in good hands in Minnesota as the more qualified institutions could learn and absorb and put forth their knowledge on good medical therapy, but using plant medicine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think it's a really neat idea. I would be curious to see if Minnesota ends up. It is a result of that study that the legislature passed now 2 years ago that researched what should we deal with in Minnesota. They ultimately decided we probably should decriminalize and provide some medical program.
Wow.
This is the action of that.
And the task force is still around?
It is. Yeah. We'll see if they continue to operate. But I'm just excited that, at least as of right now, we've got legislation that's pointing towards what that next step might be. It's not cannabis, but it is a further ramping down of that war on drugs.
It gives people who like cannabis more optimism, not just around cannabis, but around, reversing the drug propaganda that was amongst us for the last 90 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
If it passes, we're going to do an all mushroom episode of Northern Lights where we will take mushrooms, all of us.
Yes.
Congratulations, Jordan. You're learning about this for the first time. And we're going to record our regular standard episode
With Marcus Harkis.
Yeah, and the best part is the scripts will just be all made up words. So we'll just be looking and we just...
Like some letters are wingdings.
Yeah.
Like font.
Oh, yeah. We love a good wingding.
Different sizes.
Sure, you've recorded Northern Lights, but have you ever recorded Northern Lights on mushrooms?
I had some across the street at Brunson's. I got some truffle fries.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah.
That's got to count,
Oh,
right?
God, we should get some
Brunson's
fries from
rocks.
this.
Yeah, I forgot to eat today.
Yeah, all right. Well, so let's leave the news there. We'll see if these bills continue to reform. As of right now, they've just been introduced. So no further action on them. We'll see if things change. But who knows?
Who knows?
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're sitting down with our friend, Lauren Bertrand. I'm excited to hear that full interview. I was able to sit out there, but I'm excited for them to all.
Yeah, she brought lemonade.
Yeah. Been maybe sipping on some during the show.
We'll be right back.
Ever felt like running a cannabis business means running in circles just to get basic banking? Union Bank and Trust gets it. They've been helping cannabis businesses for over 10 years, solving problems like securing accounts, managing cash flow, and navigating regulations. No more jumping through hoops, no more runarounds. Just straightforward banking solutions built on trust, integrity, and performance. Check out unionbankandtrust.com today. That's unionbankandtrust.com. Are you a social equity applicant trying to save money on LED grow lights? Then here's some good news for you. You could get up to 75% off your lighting project, covered entirely by rebates, when you team up with a local nonprofit, Center for Energy and Environment. Since 2000, CEE has provided free energy consulting to Xcel Energy customers throughout Minnesota. Their team of lighting experts will help you get the highest rebates possible and take care of the paperwork so you don't have to. Starting a grow operation can be overwhelming, so take advantage of this free support from CEE. Go to mncee.org/GrowLED to sign up for your free consultation and find out how much you can save with lighting rebates. Again, that's mncee.org/GrowLED. Go get signed up today.
Like, where do you tell people, like when people are like, oh, where are you from?
Northern suburbs. I mean,
Yeah.
Lino Lakes, if you want to get that specific.
That's
but
right.
yeah.
Lino Lakes. I was thinking,
Northern burbs.
yeah, near White Bear.
Yeah.
Or up that way.
Up that way. Nobody knows Centennial or Lino
Yeah.
Lakes.
Well, you do see Centennial on the highway, right?
No, it's not a city.
No, the school.
Yeah, you can see the middle school from the highway.
That's the middle school.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but Centennial's a combination of like Lino Lakes, Lexington, Circle Pines,
Mm-hmm.
Hugo, Centerville, Blaine. Like, it's just a hybrid. Our high school is actually on Blaine, in Blaine.
Okay.
So we have to share like our athletic facilities with
Sure.
Blaine.
Have you been seeing and hearing about Blaine and the hospitality district that they're working to build?
Yeah, very interesting. They just opened up the Prime, that steakhouse and that pizza pub
Mm-hmm.
right on the corner there.
Yeah.
And we've been there.
As a
pizza
like
pubs-
personal, like privately, as you've been there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've done it. I mean, it's a great spot because, I mean, you got soccer, you got hockey, you got baseball, you got all the sports going on there.
Mhm.
Teams need a place to go.
Right.
So we're like, oh, that's pizza pub's going to be great. It looks huge. Like, you can definitely fit. Well, they made the second level this high-end steakhouse.
Yeah.
And I know people that have gone there, no price is listed. It's kind of market value, you know.
Market pricing.
And it's, they spent more money there than they would at Manny's or like Pittsburgh Blue.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
it's like super sticker shock. And it's like, okay, like,
Yeah.
are you just hoping to, they could have made so much residual
Oh.
revenue had they
Mhm.
made both floors of pizza, because whether it's hockey in the winter or soccer in the summer, whatever it may be, there's
Sure.
constant.
Yeah.
Those families aren't going to eat at steakhouses. So I don't
No.
know if they're like
Who they're aspiring to serve. Yeah.
probably PGA
Uh-huh.
people,
Yeah.
because there really is no like high-end spot to go eat, like when the 3M open and stuff
Right.
comes through. So
Right.
I don't know.
And I mean, if you're charging such absorbent prices, then you you don't need it to be full in the beginnings, right?
Right.
And so there is that.
And I think that's part of it too.
It's part of the society that we live in now. There's a certain amount of restaurant that's really just reserved for the high end, or the prices are so astronomical.
That's 100% it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, but Hope Breakfast Bar is opening up over there.
Hope Breakfast Bar is flying through cities across the Twin Cities.
I love it. I went there for lunch today.
You did?
The sales meeting and coming
You
here.
did?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hope Breakfast Bar is,
Shout out Brian Ingram.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
They are powering the show today.
This show
Truly.
literally powered by
Hope Breakfast Bar.
I had a little lavender latte and chicken biscuit.
Okay.
Really
How was
good.
it served? Like on biscuit, like chicken on biscuit?
So it was like chicken and almost like a sweet chili, like honey sauce.
Yes.
With like pickled veggies. It was mostly like cucumbers, onions, whatever.
Yeah.
With like some hash browns.
Awesome.
It was perfect. It was great.
So we had lunch earlier this week. We're here with Lauren Bertrand,
Hi. We're just going right
field
into
marketing manager for Drink Wink and the Wink team. It's kind of funny because I like to call it Drink Wink. I know your brand is Wink.
Yeah.
But like the phrase is Drink Wink.
Yeah. And I mean, that's our handle too. So you can go ahead. TikTok, Instagram, Drink Wink.
Yeah. Coming back for the second time.
Yes. It's been about a year, which is wild. And what a year it's been.
What a year it's been. Truly.
Yeah.
Not the
absolutely.
seltzer. But Wink is a seltzer.
Wink is a seltzer.
And today we're debuting the 10 milligram.
We are debuting the 10 milligram.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, first of all, I had to match my sweater to the can today.
Can Wonderland.
There's another one. Another shout out for you. But yeah, we are officially launching our 10 milligram.
I've been hearing about
so
this
excited.
for weeks. This is a lemonade series.
Lemonade series. Yep.
I love it. So there's strawberry lemonade, there is raspberry lemonade, and then there is lemonade.
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 The official lemonade of lemonades. Yeah. So 10 milligrams this time around. No CBD.
No CBD.
Still
Straight
low
to the point.
dose. But on that higher end for the more advanced consumer that's looking for that full dose.
Yeah, we like to say we're the high end of low dose at this level here. And with the introduction of 10 milligram, obviously there's a couple things that differentiate these seltzers from our 5 milligram or even lower dose that we have out there. So first and foremost, like you pointed out, it's 10 milligrams of straight THC, no CBD in this one. So in terms of functionality, just kind of getting to where you want to be a little bit more. I think I have seen, as everyone has, the 10 milligram category is definitely this spot to be. So
for what would they say, like off premise, like more liquor stores? Is that where you're seeing bigger 10 milligram?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many retailers that I'll go into, even ones that I've worked with previously, that are just kind of like, we're really winding down kind of all the 5 milligrams that we have, and we're really looking for new 10s, 10s. Everyone's looking for 10s, which I get it. I hear that. I see that. I know that's what people want. It's still kind of a novelty right now, so people want to get the most bang for their buck.
They're buying on value from a dosage standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. There's still not a ton of brand loyalty out there. I mean, I think there's definitely brands that stick out in terms of who's getting in front of you, who's marketing themselves, who's on digital, who's on social, which obviously we are pretty strongly, but we've been teasing this 10 milligram launch now online for a while and have got a lot of buzz around it. So yeah, April 1st.
This is no joke.
This is no joke. No joke's here. It's here. It made it. It has arrived.
I tried it right before the show. So it's got natural sweeteners, monk fruit, and allulose. And you've been drilling that in my head for weeks. But you notice there's like a sweet taste to it, but it's still 0 calorie. Is that right?
Yes. So that's the other piece. We're still 0 calories, 0 sugar. Wink is going to stick to that clean, natural ingredient base. We want to keep it simple for the consumers, so they know what they're drinking, how they're going to experience it. So with this, obviously, our 5 milligram seltzers are a lot like a LaCroix or a bubbly water.
Yeah.
And with no sweeteners at all. So with this, you still get that light easy drinking body feel.
Okay.
But the monk fruit, allulose, those come from beetroot. So it's still a natural sweetener that you can find.
Yeah.
But it doesn't register on the glycemic index. So it's really even more beneficial for people who are sensitive to not just sugars, but artificial sugars and whatnot too. So they can still experience a bit of sweetness, but you're not left with like sweaters on your teeth. It's not, no crazy aftertaste, no artificial feel. It's just really light, just enough. I'm not a sweet beverage drinker, so I could never quite get behind drinking 20, 30 grams of sugar per drink, especially when perhaps I am being sessionable with something like this. So I appreciate that extra flavor forwardness to them. Obviously, being able to maintain that 0 calories, 0 sugar is also a great benefit for people. Just in general, I think everyone's always looking for something low or no.
Yeah.
And we kind of hit the mark. So this introduction of 10 milligram, or obviously these are in 4 packs, whereas their 5 milligrams are still going to be in 6 packs or the 12 variety out in market.
Okay.
But we're just getting started with these 3 right now. Excited to see what we can do with these. I mean, retail 10 milligrams is definitely the push.
Sure.
On premise, in my personal stance, I think we need to stick to 5 and below. Personally, on premise,
restaurants, bars.
Especially as there's so much hesitation, whether it's because of insurance or because of city laws, or you can't mix, or just being a bartender, a previous bartender myself.
Yeah.
If this was an option for me and I had to sit and measure, okay, now I have to make sure alcohol wise they're okay, but now they're mixing this in, and people are still getting to know their own endocannabinoid systems and how they respond. In the same way, I always like to go back to, you're freshly 21, you're going out for your first beer, going out for your first drink.
Yeah.
You may not necessarily start with some like high ABV IPA,
right,
or a shot of Everclear or Dirty Martini.
Yeah, I mean,
and if you do,
the beer one's a great example, right? Because anything over 8%, you're probably not going to start with something like that,
right? So, but we've all been there when we were freshly 21ish, and we reached for that higher dose or higher ABV item.
Yeah,
and we have an awful experience. I still don't touch tequila to this day.
To this day.
Because freshly 21-year-old me had a not so great experience trying to keep up. And it is engraved in my brain. I would love to enjoy a nice cold margarita on the beach, or a shot of tequila, but not my thing.
Right.
So I don't want people to have that same experience, because there still are so many freshly 21-year-olds in the category, whether you're 21 or you're 81.
Yes.
That a lot of trial is on premise, and that comes from alcohol days. So when you're launching a new product, when you're putting something new out there, on premise is one of the best places for you to try something. And I'm the same way. I don't order or drink a lot of alcohol at all of this anymore, but if I'm going out and I'm going to enjoy something that looks intriguing or looks delicious, I'll order the cocktail and I'll be happy with it.
Yeah.
And I'll trial it, right? So whether it's a new beer on tap, and then I'll say, oh, I really like that. Prize Royal Raspberry Sour. That was my first experience. I kind of started getting into started getting into sour beers, and I had that on draft, and that turned around and made me a regular customer at retail.
Yeah.
So
I see what you mean.
That's kind of our goal, right? With on premise.
I'd be curious to know, since the last time we sat down, how much you've learned about the Wink consumer and who is typically buying this product, given that you launched with 2.5 milligram beverages
in 2023.
In 2023, and then you brought 5s on 2024, and now we're here in 2025, and 10s are coming. So what have you seen from the data?
Yeah, wow. We could do an hour-long podcast on these last 18 months alone.
That's a good idea. I mean, it's the Northern Lights podcast. We can talk as long as you'd like.
Yeah, right. Oh. Careful what you wish for. So yes, 2.5 milligrams we launched in 2023, actually prior to my time with the team. And that was obviously the very early phases and stages. And during that time, we were still primarily out east selling to dispensaries.
Yeah.
So Wink was always marketed as the high end of low dose, even in dispensaries, right? So we had 2.5 and 5 milligrams in dispensaries. And this was before really mainstream even kind of went up there. But, in other markets, we did have another brand that expanded into the 50 and up to 100 milligrams per can.
Okay. And when did Wink or the parent company Warehouse Beverage, when did you first get a beverage into a dispensary? How many years has it been?
First can of Wink was produced in 2021 or 2022.
That'd be my guess.
And started hitting in shelves in 2022. So the Wink wagon, if we go back to our original conversation, Wink was born in the back of 253-foot trailers. So our founder...
Semi-truck trailers, essentially.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And our founder and like 5 or 6 of his buddies drove state to state with undosed product and dosed on site. So we were able to kind of capitalize on that mobile unit. Wow. And he had developed an emulsification technology that would move around with them.
A multi-state trailer.
Yes, the Wink wagon. The Wink wagon.
The wagon. Winking at you soon.
Yeah, so I hope I get this timeline right, but those trailers started, the conceptualization of all that was like 2020, 2021. Drove those around, and I believe in 2022 they sold over 1 million cans out of the back of those 2 trucks.
Wow.
Which allowed them to scale to the capacity and get behind building the manufacturing facility that opened in Waverly, New York.
Similar to
in
a
2023.
Restaurant. They went from a food truck or like a mobile canning
exactly.
to a brick and mortar or
yes.
a full warehouse of production.
Yes, and now we're franchising across all these states.
And you're franchising,
yeah.
and the company's called Warehouse, like Where WHERE house. So it's all brilliant. Yeah,
yeah, because there really wasn't. Everyone always asks like, oh, where are you from? Where are you out of? I'm like, well, we were born in Pennsylvania. We're being raised in New York, and now we've got boots on the ground in 6 or 7, main markets, but we're shipping to, DTC shipping all over. I mean, that is
sure
a big part of the business, but, our boots on the ground, mainstream hemp derived markets that are being built alongside these distributors are, building, quickly catching up to kind of the success of
And in the
DTC.
Since we've been working together the last year, Wink has made a conscious decision to exit dispensaries and move strictly into the hemp-derived space, finding more opportunity in hemp than in the traditional cannabis market.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the biggest shifts over the last 18 months or so. So when I was brought on in late 2023, myself, a Chicago state manager, and a gentleman who oversees Connecticut and New Jersey, we all came from alcohol beverage background.
Sure.
So we were super familiar with the landscape, the markets, the distributor 3-tier system, et cetera.
Yeah.
Whereas previously, a lot of the markets that we had boots on the ground in did have that dispensary crossover. So we were selling not only Wink on the low end, but we had another brand that was, higher end in dispensary. As more and more regulations allowed, laws were passed for us to enter into these mainstream markets. Minnesota especially, obviously, we are such a unique little situation that's kind of wrote the book
2024
for better or worse.
was a banner year for hemp beverages.
Yeah.
Last year was.
Yeah. So I think it was definitely a shift and a conscious decision by our leadership and the right one to get people in. And we've hired a few, mid-senior level, regional support as well. So, the team is growing, and we all some sort have craft beer or, some sort of emerging, beverage background. So we're familiar with the nuances in the ins and outs. And as we're learning the cannabis side, and everyone else is we see so many people coming in with the cannabis side,
right,
not having that beverage industry 3-tier system background.
Yeah, and that's only going to become more important as
right.
the regulations are enforced and brought on. And,
right.
And so, the 0 sugar, 0 calorie, that must appeal to the wine drinker that's trying to cut back on wine or doesn't want their sugar levels to raise a little bit. So to get back to that customer. What can you share around who's picking up this product? Who's buying it in 6-packs? or 12 packs.
It's crazy. You'll go do a tasting at retail, and it is middle-aged retiree plus that are stopping to have the conversation. Now, I think in those instances, long story short, we see a very balanced customer.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
There are 21 to 25, there are people in their 20s that are making very early decisions to remove alcohol from their life. So there definitely are curious consumers in that category. But those 20-something-year-old probably have a little bit more knowledge than your 40, 50, 60-plus-year-old customers that will come walk up to our booth,
with 30 years of alcohol consumption experience that they're sort of
shifting away from. All in all, it's people shifting away from alcohol for sure.
Yeah.
It's always very interesting when it is that 20-something person, because for the most part, early on, we thought that would be like such a great crowd. But it was so apparent the first few times I went out in kind of college-ish market areas that you're right. These guys are buying their cheap vodka.
Okay.
They're getting their bang for the buck with the alcohol. They're still kind of learning their body in that way.
Yeah.
And if they are dabbling in cannabis, which a lot of them are,
they should come to the Dabbler Depot then.
They should come to the Dabbler Depot. Exactly. They likely have other ways of consuming in a more college age economical way.
The bongos and
So, I mean, you do see a lot of, hockey mom, soccer mom, myself. I'll bring them to our pregame parent meetings, right?
Cool.
And just, I think just having it, when I have it socially, whether I'm with my friends or I am a younger parent within the crowd of my kid and his sports and stuff, but
right.
Just having it in my hand and being social with it and getting, you can see people being more comfortable asking the question like, oh, is that one of those weed waters or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more. And I can have the time to explain to them, this is safe, this is clean, this is, a much better alternative. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it's going to make this game a lot less stressful. So if we can all just have a wink before the game.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. So it's
good to hear.
It would be hard to pinpoint a target consumer. I think anybody that's curious, open-minded, or, previous experience or not with cannabis are within the realm. It's anybody who's willing to come up and have the question and have the conversation.
Yeah. And it's non-threatening. You can find these on grocery shelves at co-ops and things like that. And it's not behind a glass counter like the edibles have to be and things like that. And so beverage it's part of our society. This 12-ounce can is a part of our society, whether it's a taller 12-ounce can or a traditional Diet Coke size can or even the small ones. I like those as samples.
I know, we love the mini ones.
Yeah, the minis, like the little Sprites on the airplane size.
Yeah, and it's funny. So again, going back to the last 18 months, started selling 2.5. Clearly, we needed to get to the next step. January 2024, we launched the 5 milligrams in a 6-pack. So we kind of were able to, work our pricing, bring our pricing. I mean, pricing was another big jump. I think everybody's been taking over the last 18 to 24 months.
Are you involved in those conversations sometimes from a field marketing level?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Minnesota is so competitive that, me kind of raising my hand and waving the flag of like, hey, you're right. We've got a great product. We've got a good introductory price, but we can't stay here long. Like if we need that velocity, that volume, that turnover, if we need to catch people's attention, people want less money, more MGs.
Right.
And, then it's a sticker shock. So you might have somebody who buys that, at one point at the beginning of last year, our 6 packs were at $19.99 on the shelf.
Okay.
And that was the first big stretch, was get under that $20 mark. We're a 6-pack compared to 4 packs. Like, well, this is a good space to be.
I remember seeing those at the Dabbler Depot on 7th Street. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And great, but we're not always faced 3 wide. So all of a sudden you flip our 6-pack to the side.
Yep.
We've added these things that now call out 4-pack, 6-pack, but whoa.
I almost had it, but this one's for me now.
Perfect. Crack it open. It's a goodie.
Ooh.
Oh no. Oh yeah, it just fell. April Fools. I shook that one up.
Got me. We'll take a quick break.
Ready to kick off your home grow? We've got the perfect hookup for you. MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. They've got everything from fast flowering strains to unique hybrids, all ready for growing in Minnesota. And guess what? Our listeners get an exclusive deal. Use the code NL10 for a 10% discount on your entire order. Don't miss out and get started with the best seeds. Start your growth strong with MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. Remember, NL10 for 10% off at MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. Grab your seeds today. And we're back here in the studio with Casey of Natural Harvest. How's it going, man?
Hey, Tanner. Thanks for having me back again.
Super happy to have you back in the studio. It is another month. It is April. We're getting so close to that outdoor season being real. And now it's another month, which means we got another seed box. Tell us, what do you have in store for us this month?
Yeah, so this month, exciting one, Northern Lights Auto.
What? You named a seed after us? No. I'm just kidding. No, a classic cultivar, Northern Lights Auto. That's awesome. That's a really, really cool one. I mean, not that you have to like tell people what is Northern Lights like, but for people who maybe haven't tried the beverage, haven't ever smoked the weed before, haven't been exposed to that, what is Northern Lights?
Absolutely, yeah. Classic indica strain, kind of one of those everybody knows about. The auto variety is mixed with lowrider, so kind of get some of those genetics too. So
I love it. Yeah, I think you get like a little bit of a berry woodsiness to it. Northern Lights is one of those cultivars that I keep coming back to. I haven't found a bad iteration of it yet, so I'm stoked. And an auto plant. For people who maybe have never grown an auto flower before, tell us a little bit, what is it that makes it that auto flower? What does that mean?
Sure. Yeah, the nice thing about the auto flower, it's a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about changing your light cycle. So you can just kind of go about, your normal grow and not really think about that. So it takes a step out of the equation, especially for new growers. Also, as we're going into the summer, a lot of good reasons, get something planted early here, hopefully.
Yeah.
We have some good weather coming up. And another, real positive outcome is that if you do something early in an auto, you kind of avoid that cross-pollination, right? Like
Absolutely.
All that ditchweed that's around there in October, you're going to be done like curing your plants already. So
yeah. And I feel like before we know it, it's going to be time for those plants to be outdoors. Where like, if you haven't started your seeds yet, really consider doing that now, because you want to be able to take advantage of that full season, not just get your seeds out and get a month or two.
Right. Yeah. And avoid some of those pests and deer and things like that. Rabbits that just like to munch on your plants when they're tiny little things. So
all of that.
A little bit bigger before they go out.
Totally. Well, and like you were talking about earlier with the autoflower, I have a lot of friends that grow in the cities, maybe in their backyard close to others. Those photosensitive plants are great, but sometimes depending upon the lights around you are a bit more finicky. What's nice about those autos is you can just throw them out. Know that as long as the sun is doing its thing, the plant's going to be doing its thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, like in my neighborhood, everybody has a light over their garage and that thing's coming on all the time. Oh, yeah. Every time some, critter comes walking down the driveway or whatever, screwing up your light cycle. So yeah, it's the way to go.
Awesome. Well, so people have probably been listening. They're thinking already, oh, this is the seed I need to try. I've heard of Northern Lights. Now is my opportunity to grow it. Where would you recommend that people go to get those seeds?
Yeah, come check us out, MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com.
Very cool. And people can get these, of course, in the seed pack, but you guys also have a monthly subscription. People can sign up for and get seeds delivered to their doorstep every month. Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of a set it and forget it, right? Choose your level and wherever you want to be, and you'll get a new set of genetics every month.
That's awesome. I feel like I have so many unneeded subscriptions that every month it's like, oh, I got to make sure to cancel that. This, however, is one of those that I feel like very, very important to have.
Yeah, never hit that cancel button.
Never. Well, and I heard even there's a rumor that for people looking to buy a pack of seeds, looking to buy a couple packs of seeds, maybe looking to do a pheno hunt or two, they could get a discount on seeds just by listening to this podcast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. NL10, and that'll get you 10% discount.
Sweet. So we'll go to MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. I'll scroll through. I'll fill up my cart. I'll go to checkout, enter NL10, and get that 10% off discount.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool. Awesome. Well, Northern Lights, I'm excited to see people grow that. If you've got great pictures of your Northern Lights auto grow, send them in. We'd love to put them on the podcast. That's a fun bag of seeds to get growing.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Casey, thank you so much for coming in the studio today. As always, I cannot wait to see what you have in store for us next month.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Tanner.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Like, I don't feel bad for Cooper at all because these kids get just everything they could dream of. But I do feel bad for kids that have to deal with everyone's devices being tracked and things being recorded and pictures being taken and social media being.
Right.
I just squeezed out of college in the perfect time.
Yeah.
Because if Snapchat existed.
It was coming.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, you got out. You got out in the nick of time.
Yes, I did.
So that was funny. You got me there.
Perfect.
10 milligrams at a time.
Yeah. So with that, I should add, there's still a little bit of carbonation in these. The lemonades are not still, but it's a little less carbonated than the traditional seltzer you see.
Okay.
So still get a little bit of bubble, a little bit of bite, but, nothing crazy overwhelming.
A typical wink. Yeah. So you were telling me like 6 packs at $19.99.
Yeah,
good
pricing.
Good idea. Great value.
Right.
But if the consumer doesn't see it on the shelf like that, they might.
It just kind of looked like, another $19.99 on the shelf.
And generally speaking, I didn't give you any heads up on this, but like how I guess that goes into a little bit of the transition, but like, is Wink pretty easy to find right now, or where would you recommend people go to find Wink?
Yeah. So right now we've got a couple, chains continue on board with the 5 milligrams. Total Wine's got them back up and running. They
awesome.
Also have, since we last spoke as well, we had launched the variety packs in the 5 milligram.
Yes.
And that included tangerine as a new flavor.
Oh yeah.
So the black cherry, the lime, the mango, and the tangerine.
Yes.
So we now, as of December, January, have tangerine as a standalone.
Okay.
So we added that SKU. And then we also added our seasonal flavors. So we have 2 seasonal drops in the 5 milligram a year. So we have cranberry blood orange you can find on the shelves right now.
Sweet.
At Total Wines. Cub Foods also.
Cub
handful
Foods.
of them. They're getting back around.
Super value.
We switched up our distributor model a little bit. So there was, time for turnover in there. But with this new partnership, we were really able to work on things like pricing, product assortment, where do we go from here?
Okay.
We found a lot when we had both the 2.5 milligram and 5 milligram available. It was hard to go pitch somebody that is minimal on space or working on growing their space. But when you have the same flavors and 2 different doses, not, major differences in the functionality, it's 2 different consumers that we're selling to for sure. 2.5 is such a it's a sweet spot for me, even when it comes to sessionability.
Sure.
And that's where our 5 and 2.5 milligram options, putting a 6-pack for the 5 milligrams. We want to promote sessionability as well.
Yeah.
And that's such a great dose to be able to kind of maintain and sustain.
Right.
If I'm going to go out on the boat this summer, I'm not going to grab 3-4 packs of these and drink 10 milligrams all day.
Nope.
But a 5 milligram Wink 12 pack is perfect. I can maintain social sessionability like I would. I like to think about it like I have a White Claw in my hand. If I'm drinking one of these an hour, maybe 2 an hour.
Yeah. And you have seltzer background. You were boots on the ground during the seltzer boom.
Yes.
Right. So when you talk about things like a White Claw, you have a pretty good comparison model in your mind around how this has sort of stepped in as a new option for those who still like that White Claw, whatever they might not like White Claw, but their lifestyle fits with White Claw.
Right.
And so it might fit with Wink as well.
Yeah. And that's a great point as well. We are categorically a THC seltzer. And I think so many people have seltzer burned in their brain as something with an alcohol base. I mean, you can still get seltzer water and it's going to be sparkling water.
Yeah.
But, a seltzer in everybody's consumer mind
got stamped as.
It's got that aftertaste, that malt base, that alcohol base, those artificial sugars that, I can have a couple and then I get a gut rut. Yeah. I mean, honestly, at first, I was just so excited when I heard about kind of the flavor lineup here with the lemonades, but my mind went straight back to lemonade seltzers I've had in the past. And I love them. They're great. But I can only have one or two because of those sugars, because of that, how it may be. But again, with a THC seltzer, you don't have that alcohol base.
Right.
We don't have those artificial sugars.
Nice.
So you're getting that 0 calories, 0 sugar, cold, light, refreshing experience without the gut rut, without the fuzzy teeth, without the okay, I can only have one of those. I need to move on to something like that.
Yeah, this is a terrific product.
Thank you.
I like it a lot. For sure. So with 5s, you were saying...
Yeah, so with the 5 milligrams compared to the 10s, we're appeasing different crowds, but it's also different occasions too, right? So with our 10 milligram, point here is people want to get to where they're going a little quicker.
Sure.
So the 10 milligrams THC, 12 ounce can, we're going to get you there.
I'm halfway to Lino Lakes already.
Hey, shout out Lino Lakes. And, but you go back to summer sessionability, right? Getting out on the boat. I always like to say to my buyers, you're going to have, my buyers that tell me oh, we only want to look at 10s. Well, I didn't have 10s available. I was selling 5s. So I had to continue these conversations for them to see no, there's still a place and a space for this. So you're consuming your 10 milligrams, totally get it. But when you got somebody who's coming into the liquor store and they're going to go out on the boat for the afternoon, they're going to grab their bottle of tequila and their 12-pack of White Claw.
Okay.
Because you need something to get the party going.
Yeah.
But then you can't keep going all day.
So it's more maintenance.
With that. It's more of a maintenance dose.
Okay.
Or sessionability. Or again, you'll get your 4-pack of craft beer that's super tasty, but you're going to grab your Mick Ultras to go with it because you want to watch the waste and you want to make sure you can get through the day without, I prefer to drink all day and be in bed by 5 o'clock, but maybe some people don't.
So Winks sort of set themselves up to be really dynamic depending on what kind of experience you're looking for throughout the day.
Right. So you have your 10 milligrams, get to where you're going. Now you want to maintain that. So you're going out on the boat. You're going to grab your 12-pack as well.
Sure.
So you're going to grab your bottle of tequila or your 10 milligrams or your gummy or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But then you want to get through the day. So then you got, your 12-pack Wink variety.
Sure.
A couple different flavors, little lower dose. Say you're drinking about 1 an hour, right? You're sessionable, you're out on the boat, you want to have more, you want to maintain sociability, you don't want to hold the same warm can in your hand, whatever it may be. The 5 milligrams, let's call it 1 an hour over 4 hours on the boat. You're not building yourself up to 20 milligrams in that 4-hour time period.
Okay.
Because your body is metabolizing, your body is working.
Sure.
So our, total effective period of beverages and how our endocannabinoid system and everything else metabolizes, it's about 90 minutes.
Okay.
So the beverages are going to hit you faster and not quite last as long as an edible because you're metabolizing it differently.
Sure.
So in 90 minutes or 4 hours worth of 20 milligrams, 4 cans.
420.
Hey, look what I did there. You're not, I don't want people to have the assumption that I drink 6 of these, I'm going to be at, 30 milligrams or 60 milligrams. You got to look at the timing of it. It is more of a maintenance dose. So for me, the 5 milligrams in a sessionable setting is great because don't have to worry about somebody bugging me about grabbing me a drink or getting me something else constantly because I have something NA in my hand. Yeah. And I can maintain myself in a way that I would with a White Claw or whatever it may be.
Small buzz,
longer stretch.
Good times.
So different place, different space.
Different folks.
Different strokes for different folks. There we go.
Coming to a TV series near you. No, I mean, I'm having fun. What I'm thinking about is hook me up with the boat package, right? Yeah. I need a 4-pack of the 10s. Mm-hmm. I need a 12-pack of the 5s, or a 6-pack, and then I need
snacks,
a cooler full of 2.5s, just for samples to throw out to my friends.
There you go.
Literally,
that's the
just
plan.
Hanging out in the water.
I think they did an amazing job with it, and though I wish it could have got here sooner, I think they did every right step to perfect it.
I mean,
truly, Good things can't be rushed.
I hear that. And the alcohol rollouts, the alcohol product rollouts, I mean, they've had 90 years of unfeathered, I was going to say innovation, essentially no prohibition.
Mm-hmm.
THC being a new category,
right?
I would venture to say that the product rollouts might take longer because it's everyone, regardless of how long you've been in this industry as a THC beverage producer, you're still relatively new.
Right? No, 100%. And I think there are products out there that have been rushed.
Yeah.
And, a good batch or two, and then all of a sudden you go back a couple months later for the same thing, and
it's not
the same.
Sure.
And there's a lot of things, whether you're THC or an alcohol, everybody as they grow is going to change things. Manufacturers, canners, formulas, etc., ingredient shortages, no matter what it may be, things are going to change. It's inevitable.
Sure.
We are fortunate to have the scalability because we own our manufacturing, and we have those relationships with flavor partners, supplier partners, etc., like that. In our overhead business that allows us to make the adjustments that we need to.
Okay.
We ran into many instances in 2024 where a state that we were in and we were doing really well in, all of a sudden laid down a law like you can't go over 3% or 3 milligrams.
Oh.
And so as everyone else is getting pulled from the shelves,
right.
We were able to
2.5 to the rescue, huh?
Well, yes, but also no, because we were able to flip a switch and produce 3 milligram wings.
Even better.
Pretty quick. Mm-hmm. Get the truckload over. All of a sudden, we're the first brand back on the shelves. And that that was a huge shift for us. I believe it was Connecticut.
That's a proud achievement.
And it is.
Yeah.
I applaud every single person a part of this logistics operations. Like everything that happened, all the magic happens.
Right.
That's
one of the reasons why Canna Connect likes to work with Wink is because we can learn and we can understand that Wink is further along than a lot of cannabis beverage companies. And so when we work with Wink, we get a lens into the future of cannabis beverages. Yeah.
That was a huge thing that, again, as I was contemplating what my next move was going to be, after I left the craft beer and kind of seltzer side and found myself in the pilot facility and seeing a lot of these functional ingredients come through. When they had reached out to me, I was very hesitant because, first of all, it was just an adult beverage. They were, this recruiter was talking to me about.
High level.
Right. They're just trying to filter through, who they can talk to. And I let them know. I said, I'm really trying to shy away from adult beverage. Like, I've been doing it for the last 10 years and I'm just exhausted. Like, we weren't even through COVID yet at that point, but I was already like 10 years aged in those couple years. And finally they said, let us give us a couple days. Let us get you a little bit more information about who this is and what they're doing. And, I ended up having a phone call with Angus and Phil, and they told me what they had been doing and what they're doing. And in my mind, I've watched a lot of brands grow,
test,
test, fail, and grow, test, and stick. And I could tell they were doing they were having the correct thought processes.
Okay.
They were coming from a place of wanting to educate people, wanting to ensure that clean products, consistent products were available to consumers so they'd have a positive experience. So federally, we would have a chance.
Yep.
So we could go say, no, this can be done right. It can be done safe, and it can be done in a way that is good for everybody.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it about them, and they continue to do that. And again, with co-packing and a lot of the work that we're doing with other brands that are out there, we have great relationships and great allies in this industry because of the crossovers that we have.
Sure.
So we really like to just kind of stay in our lane, and that's why we keep it to clean, simple ingredients. That's, with the exception of removing the CBD here, but just sticking with straight THC in terms of functionality.
Geared towards the liquor store outlet or the grocery store outlet versus the on-premise. Because I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Canna Connect Brainerd Lakes.
Yeah.
And the Brainerd Lakes Canna Club.
Yeah.
Because we'll be kicking that off in this month.
I know, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can definitely dive into that, but, you know, just wrapping up the last thought of we have a home for everything, you know, on-premise, retail, whatever it may be. Dispensary, we did pull away from because obviously these high-end, low-dose products are meant for mainstream. You're not going to a dispensary to buy a 6-pack of 5 milligram beverages.
That's what, 30 milligrams?
Yeah.
You know,
or a 4-pack of 10s. They're out there for sure, but you're going in there for something with a little more punch.
A Colorado dispensary, for example, is not going to sell.
No, they have like 100 milligram
singles,
5-hour energy shots.
I'd love to, I mean, there's so much more to talk about as far as like your team and the federal level, at the potentially the lobbying that's happening, you know, to ensure that we have, so that stories like Connecticut don't happen, or Tennessee, or, you know, it's state by state basis. Like Iowa is capped at 3 milligrams. Yeah. Yeah.
Same with them. Yeah.
So, you know, I'm super, super interested to continue talking about cannabis beverages because Minnesota is such a hot spot, and we are, we're the nucleus of where it all really jumped off.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's the last 18 months has been a wild ride.
Yeah.
Met a lot of really great people, like yourself, that have just helped kind of lift the category up. A lot of old colleagues and coworkers I'm running into on the streets all the time, asking me more and more questions, you know, how I feel about the change and if it's been good for me. I mean, categorically, the only positive growth trend in the adult beverage industry is in THC right now.
Yes. Yes.
So non-alcoholic functional cannabis beverage is up. Everywhere else is down. You know.
I mean,
so
what a
lot of people.
What a great switch for you to pull. That, to land.
Life works in mysterious ways. To get to be a part of the seltzer boom with one of the largest global breweries, and kind of kicking off their brands and seeing how that kind of shook things up. And I remember everyone just kind of being like, I mean, how do you categorize it? Like, it's a whole new category. And is this gonna, you know, kind of, you know, was it going to be like a cider that just kind of like had its little home? Like, no, the seltzer category was a whole new category.
Okay.
And we hadn't seen, and by we, at that point, I was about a decade into the adult beverage industry, and there's plenty of vets that have been out there longer than me.
Yeah.
But what I've seen in the last decade is probably as much, if not more, change than they've seen in the last 40 years.
Sure.
Nobody's seen this new category emerge. I mean, craft beer would probably be the most previous push.
Yep. Which came about 15 years before the seltzer boom, which was really that COVID era.
Yeah. Yep. That COVID era. And it kind of went back to, like, you know, again, seltzers, most breweries could do it. So why wouldn't they?
I saw a ton of breweries making seltzers and being sold at like MGM and liquor stores like
Less
that.
Ingredients, quick production, out the door, like easy peasy. And then all of a sudden this water soluble terpenes and THC and like CBD, what?
Yeah.
Like, here's this new category
by
storm.
Yeah.
So watching this sections grow and seeing retailers kind of figure out, now what do we cut back on? Do we cut back another door of craft beer? Do we cut back another aisle of wine? You know, it's very interesting to see how retailers are adapting as well.
Yeah.
In real time.
So if retailers that watch the show are looking to get Wink into their store, what's the best way that they can reach out to you?
Yes, please. You can reach out to me anytime, of course. But I do work directly with the Johnson Brothers Liquor Division.
Okay.
So they are currently distributing for us statewide in Minnesota. And if we expand outside of Minnesota, you know, we've got business partners, and we're just getting ready to launch Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
Actually, this upcoming week as well. So.
We've got 1 or 2 Wisconsin listeners.
Hey, Wisconsin, you can get Wink now. Maybe like next week, or like give it a week or two. But
April Fools.
They are just getting their product as well. So really excited to get that on board. We actually just hired a Midwest sales director. Parker, you got to meet earlier this week. Great guy. He's coming from craft beer world, had done regional management for War Pigs.
There's a couple of pigs.
3 pigs. But anyway, he's got some great insight, and just to have the extra support. I mean, me being the sole boots on the ground in Minnesota has been a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And I think that's just, our market in general. We all know you need to have somebody on the ground. And as we're all getting started, we got budget for one. And as things grow, we get to add more. So, I've got a team that's out there supporting retail and samplings. Lizeth has been a great partner for me. And, Parker, cool. He's out in Milwaukee, so he's getting ready to kick off Wisconsin. So
that's dope.
Be a lot of fun.
We're excited to party up in Brainerd this summer with you guys.
So excited. Yeah, we can dive into that. But
April 24th, Brainerd Lakes Canna Club. Come see Lauren. Come see the Wink team. We're going to be at Dunmire's on the lake. It's going to be a great time. Every fourth Thursday, April, May, and June, and we're psyched to have Wink on the roster. Yeah,
I mean, I'm excited just to kind of spread my wings a little bit outside of the metro, and being able to have full state distribution with Johnson Brothers is a game changer. And there's a lot going on in the metro, but there's a lot of opportunity kind of in those outstate areas, and especially when you think about Brainerd and the lakes in the summer, and having something that's low sugar, not gonna bloat you all day, but you can have back to the sessionability.
I'm so amped. Yeah,
I know. I'm excited. So, and back to the platform of the relationships I get to build. I want to look for opportunities, to be talking directly with the people drinking these and explaining it to them, the ins and outs, that they're not getting, a lot of retailers are doing a much better job at training their staff members on THC.
Sure.
Whether it's through us as like a brand partner, or, somebody that they're bringing in to make sure that they can answer those frequently asked questions. But you never quite get the same elevator pitch that somebody that has their hand on the product. So being able to answer those curiosities, those concerns, those kind of things, and educate people in a way that's like, hey, we're trying to, again, what you guys are doing by bringing people together in this space in a comfortable way.
Sure.
That's the exact experience that we want people to have with Wink. We're bringing people together in a comfortable way to consume something new.
Yeah.
So by having something that's clean, easy to read labels and ingredients, consistent COAs, everything that needs to be done, we're there. If you need something different, we'll do it. You know what I mean? So I'm just excited to get it in more people's hands and really have that summer experience. With all these new products.
Yeah, the products look great. Like we said, we got to try some ahead of time. I've had the strawberry, I've had the raspberry, the lemonade. I guess that's the last one that I need to try, and then we can get out of here. But Lauren, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, cheers.
I really like it because I can chug it and it doesn't bite on the back of the neck. And sometimes with seltzers or those malt flavors, like this is a really fun drink. I can tell this is a good time. This is a party drink. Like I'm amped to tell people about this. If you're looking to have a good time, try the Wink 10 milligram lemonade series. Yes. Tell them the Northern Lights podcast sent you.
Please do.
We'll see you next time. I've been playing around with dryer vaporizers, and I really like the low temp dabs, or the low temp rips. And like 280 is a pretty low temp.
So now for the studio audience, 280. What is it that we're doing at 280? What is this?
Not paying taxes.
Yeah, that's bingo.
So we're talking about the Fahrenheit temperature for a vaporizer, and we're like receiving the aromatherapy benefits of cannabis by vaporizing it, which means roasting it, not combusting, at a lower temp on the spectrum. So you can go all the way up to 330, potentially. Oh, yeah. So you can even go up to 445 with the herbalizer.
Okay, for sure.
That is a NASA level dose, depending on how potent Now, you don't have to use cannabis in the herbalizer. You can use any kind of herb. I'm just using cannabis, and I don't know, at 445, I'm going to get like a really rich THC hit. Like, that's going to incinerate me.
It says uplifting on the screen.
Oh. I wonder if it changes as you raise the temps. That's interesting.
As you get higher, it's like blasted.
That'd be so funny if it said blasted. So yeah, this is just shake from my home grow jar.
Cool.
And it smells pretty good.
This brings me back to like being in a dorm and being like, what can I do to make it not smell like weed in here?
Yeah.
And this is sort of the opposite of like, man,
can we make it smell?
I really wish it just like smelled like weed in here.
What dorm did you live in freshman year?
Oh, shout out 17th Avenue.
Okay.
It was very new. It had recently been built. At U of M.
Sounds nice.
Yep.
17th Avenue.
It was pretty fun. What I liked about it is that the building was designed where you had to come in the front, and I lived in the back, which was literally an entire city block. So I'd come in my front door and have to walk an entire city block over to the elevators and an entire city block down to my actual unit. And I felt sort of cool. That's the first place I ever got a vaporizer taken away from me.
Oh, yeah.
Thankfully, I wasn't in the room that day, but the police did not like that I had a vaporizer sitting on my desk. And
just a vaporizer.
Yep. It did have weed in it and around it.
Yeah.
And they also took that.
Was that the PAX?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
That's what I was going to say. This smells like PAX 1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
My
yeah.
memories of the original PAX. I was like, oh, this and Gran Turismo for hours.
Oh, respect.
Yeah, see, I smell this in Skyrim. That's
yeah.
The PAX was fun. I think what I like about handheld vaporizers versus tabletop vaporizers is that control element of being on the go and knowing where your temps are at. And, you know,
yeah,
there's models and different levels to like the transparency, but I like the shape of this herbalizer.
Yeah, well, especially these days, it looks like gold. I mean, it looks like an egg.
Oh, yeah. Oh, can we do it like this? Will that herbalize? I don't know. Probably not.
Oh, it automatically turns it off when you close it. Goes into sleep mode.
Yeah, so, you know, these guys reached out to us on Minnesota Cannabis College LinkedIn last summer, and that's not often where people reach out to us. So I didn't see their message for a little while.
I was going to say, I was like, oh, I'm so glad you checked that, because I'm so glad you checked that.
But, you know, great group, small company, and these are made in Edina, which is why we had to have them on the show.
Wow. I wonder if the Edina City Council knows vapes are made just down the street. That's neat.
Yeah. Yeah, Edina dispensaries. That's going to be my...
We got vapes coming from Edina. We got humidity packs coming from Minnetonka.
Right.
Like, we got the whole cannabis industry just in our back pocket. We didn't even know.
I want to make a drink called Classic Lakes.
I like that. Only if it tastes like lake water, though.
Exactly.
I want it to be like, yeah. It's like maybe something in that, but in like a good way.
In a good way. In a terpy way.
Yeah.
Just the like algae seaweedy stuff that comes up and grabs your ankles as you're trying to swim through. Just that like essence of that.
Tanner, could you help me source some algae terps this summer?
I got you. Yeah, I can make that happen.
We'll be right back.
I actually think that's all we got. Yeah. That's the end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, all right. So we could do the wrap up thing. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Put in like MNCEE and then we'll just fucking finish it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we got for today, guys. Another great episode. Shout out to Lauren for coming in. Always good to grab a bevy, hear her story, chat with her. Always a fun time.
Yeah. Drink Wink, 10 milligrams out now.
Yeah. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for rocking.
Shout out to you, keeping the state, the good people of Minnesota informed about what is happening around them. Thanks, Tanner.
And we were going to do a whole episode reading off a bunch of fake rules, really trying to like whip up a frenzy and a stir for April Fool's Day, but we didn't. So you're welcome, guys. We kept it serious.
Do you think they dropped the rules on Tuesday so that we had a full week to wait until the show came out?
Wait. They're like, the episode just came out. Those buzzes aren't going to record anytime soon. And we do just a couple days later. So
hey, I had a question actually, or a thought during the episode. How much impact do you think the comments, the forum, the public comments,
great question,
had on kind of things that were maybe amended a little bit?
I mean, we saw a couple dozen changes at most in a 130-page document. I think to point to the community where more than 70% of the public comments were about that 70% cap, and to say that they had no impact would be silly. I absolutely think the people that wrote in, that dropped those comments, likely were part of that very group that impacted why that was raised to 80%.
Yep.
Which is cool.
So shout out to Tanner, shout out to Steve, shout out to everybody
you guys
who left their perspectives and opinions.
Yeah, our buddy Toph, Green Machine, for like doing the whole online meme game. Like, I feel like it's always bad when news about the cannabis industry breaks through meme form, but they're my source.
Ivy League.
Yeah, absolutely. So many people that were going on, dropping just incredible comments, letting people know that this is not okay, and they changed it at least a little bit.
A little bit, and there's a tolerance.
Totally,
like 15%.
Yeah. So it's we'll see what we can do.
Tanner's tolerance.
Yeah, we'll still get some good terps. I'm not crazy worried, and if nothing else, helps the legacy market. So, and that's all we got for today. All right, guys, truly, thank you so much for leaving those comments, because, I think absolutely had an impact.
Episode 25.
In the books.
Next week, join us, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, super excited for that one. That's going to be an insane interview. I met him for the first time actually at a Canna Connect event. We were talking about mushrooms. He was shaking my hand in that wilderness basement, and he looked at me and goes, I got to come on your podcast and talk about mushrooms. And so, Opie, excited to talk about mushrooms with you next week.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah, but in the meantime, definitely tell a friend about Northern Lights. Definitely share with your family. It's April Fool's today. Go play a joke on someone and say, man, do you want to hear just the best podcast?
Northern Lights.
No. I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, go share Northern Lights. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, all that jazz. Drop us a LinkedIn message and we'll get to them. And if you're a fan of the show, leave us a comment, leave us a reply in the Apple Podcast, in Spotify. And thanks for listening. See y'all next week.
Peace.
Northern Lights is a Minnesota Cannabis College production. This episode was produced by me, Tanner Barris, and by Steve Eigenman and Jordan Witt. Production assistance from Marcus Harkis, Shayna Payton, and John Barty. Video and audio recording at the Dabbler Depot Studio by Jordan Witt. The information provided in this podcast does not, and is not intended to, constitute legal advice, but is instead for general information purposes only. No listener should act solely on the basis of information provided without first seeking advice from their own legal counsel. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Minnesota Cannabis College. Please listen responsibly.